call the meeting to order. We'll do a roll call. So, Dick?
Dick Raven, present.
Terry Lewis, present. Beth Tsunami, present.
Patty Wilson, present.
Dick Pasteri, present. And,
Aaron Thompson, present.
all right. The first item that needs action is the minutes from the June 20th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at them?
Yes.
Any comments, changes, observations? If not, if somebody wants to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Somebody second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Next item, the director's report.
Did everybody already have a chance to read through? Okay, great. So we have successfully completed FY23, which is great. For 4 of 7 of us, it was a new position. Some of us, it was a new library and a new position. So now we've all, up until Liz is about a month shy of her being here a year. But we have a seasoned crew going into FY24, which is awesome. And as much as there were bumps in the road, I think this past year has been a really great year. I'm working on ARIS right now, wrapping up that report to the state for FY23, and I'll start a financial report in a couple weeks. And we'll be needing to do our FY24 action plan at some point as well. So it's interesting to see all the numbers and everything that have been coming in really great. And the changes that Dorothy and I made to how we record data and keep track of everything have been really helpful. It's been a much smoother process. So smoother than I even anticipated.
And how did the budget end up for FY23?
We did.
Did we use it all?
Oh, God, yeah.
Most important.
Yes, used it all. What I couldn't use all of, but I did made a pretty good dent, because we didn't hire Liz until September.
Right.
Her position was a new position. It was budgeted from July 1st. So I did have offered people to work extra hours here and there and do some special projects,
Okay.
which it comes in handy to do stuff like that when the library's closed and they're shifting around. Books and everything are all over the place, so that worked out well. I think I was short about $1,500 of spending the entire
That's good.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, so I came close.
Excellent. Never want to leave anything on the table.
No.
The town is so gracious to provide us with these funds. We want to make sure
That's right.
show them our appreciation and
Right.
use it.
And unfortunately, with the salaries budget, even if I brought in a bibliotemp or somebody to help us out, that can't get paid out of the salaries budget. It would have to come from gifted donations or state or something like that. So it's not like I can come up with a cool, contract or consultant or anything like that. It has to be people who are on payroll.
Right. Within the context of the budget, my recollection is we don't have flexibility to move money from one line item to another.
I think we do once a year. We can make a request.
Okay.
I believe it has to go to town meeting in the spring. I think the request has to happen fall or November.
So we're not getting a lump sum budget, we're getting a line by line item budget, is my recollection.
Come in.
We're getting a line item budget. It's X number of dollars for
Yes.
salary, materials, so we don't have the flexibility of moving the money around within it.
No, unless we
go
make
to
a formal,
request at a special town meeting,
yeah.
annual town meeting.
Yeah. So that would be something to think about,
Yeah.
in the next couple of months if we're interested in doing that, because there is a process.
Okay. I don't know, I haven't heard anything whether there's going to be any special town meeting scheduled for the fall.
I haven't heard it.
Okay. So if that does get announced, then probably something we want to look at it and evaluate, assess the budget and say, we're good the way it is, or maybe we should move some money from one place to another. So that's, otherwise we can't do anything until the spring, and we're almost at the end of the fiscal year.
Right.
Anyway, so, okay.
And,
Just trying to refresh my memory.
and this year, I should be utilizing all the salaries budget and then some because of the gift and donations with the Mystery Room project and the stating component. So it should go over this year.
So if we do want to provide additional funding for salaries, we can in fact access gift and memorial and state aid to augment that.
Right, and I
we've
think
been
that can be
doing that.
done, so if right, and I think that can be done at any point in the year.
Right. Right. That doesn't require a town meeting or
Right.
outside approval. That's something that we can decide to do. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, on policies, I pulled back a little from what I originally thought we were going to be able to do at this meeting, and that was, in general, the home delivery policy that we're updating. And only because as I started going through it, I think that DeGraven and I have more work to do. We're going to do it in person. And go over that before we bring it back to the board, as well as revisiting our behavior policy, which was last amended in 2019. It's not that old, but a lot has happened since then. And it does need a great deal of thought, and I think it's going to be a bit of a time-consuming process. So Dick and I are going to meet next week on both of those policies and see how far we get on bringing something back to the table for the August meeting.
Oh, we got it done.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I shared with you what I heard about a local library that experienced its first amendment audit last week, and I think I gave you all the YouTube video link, which is just kind of discouraging to see what the patrons had to deal with, getting cameras in their face and things like that, and kids who were recorded on that video and are now on YouTube. So there are patron privacy issues. In general, First Amendment audits are just, something that you have to deal with when they want to video you. And, I don't know.
This is those two guys who are using this as a way to get on.
Yeah, it's
YouTube.
not just them though, it's happening across the country.
Yeah, I know. It's perceived, it's more of a form than a content. They're using extreme positions to challenge a situation so that they can get interesting videos.
Well, how are they getting around? I mean, you have to have someone's permission, especially children. Because there are children.
Policy. So that's where our code of conduct policy, this is where we have to get our policies tightened
Good
up.
point. You just kind of randomly walk up. I didn't think you could randomly
No, you
walk up
really
and just start
can't.
videotaping some child.
And, this video, there was one little boy on that video, and somehow, I don't know why, it's okay,
But the purpose of the video is to, in fact, get pushback from staff.
yeah.
That's why they exist.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
And so, because those kinds of videos are sticky on YouTube and people click through them. So they get more and more views because they have a certain kind of energy around them.
right.
So they're packaged as First Amendment issues, but it's really,
Yeah, because who's bigger on First Amendment issues than a library?
Yeah.
We're all about the freedoms.
and they're not just going to libraries, they're going to town halls
Yeah.
and,
Oh, right.
all kinds of
So this is
elected officials.
This is just one event that you're aware of in Massachusetts. or
This is a recent one.
Recent.
Oh, no, it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah, I believe
Same
it's happening.
individuals or?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they identify whether they were in fact local people or?
I don't remember. I think they were, but that's a good question.
Yeah,
I-
I'm curious.
I'm curious too, because you can't video people without their okay, or it's a felony.
Yeah,
So why aren't they being pulled in? And
yeah.
Especially
I mean,
children.
We would do the drumming sessions here, and, you know, she would
In a
take
public
pictures and then
building.
ask our permission if she could.
Right.
Use
so
them.
it's
In a
the
public
location?
building, yeah, it's about the location. So
Okay.
there are rules around whoever has come to the public building sort of is giving up their privacy to some extent by virtue of being in the public building.
So if
Well,
you're on a
I
public
find that
street.
But, right,
There are kids
but for
and
kids,
families
it's different.
that are in situations that schools are not allowed to photograph them.
Right.
That's a
And so
public
that's a
facility.
public facility, so it should be carried over to the
It is and it
library.
isn't, because there are areas. So one of the things that I noticed in that video is that they were able to go in places that did not have signage declaring that it was an area that was off limits to the public. So we need to clearly identify offices as not staff only. Text, you know, things like that. That's part of what we'll be looking at when we're looking at either
So
code
they
of conduct
cannot
policy.
photograph of this private.
Right.
Right, you
But
know,
the kids
because,
are out here,
Yeah.
that's my
well,
concern.
the patron information might be on a computer, a staff computer, or anything. So there's lots of, it's really, really tricky.
Is this worth having a conversation with town council? Can she be helpful? I think she should be.
She shouldn't.
Maybe, they're probably already aware, but yeah,
Because,
so.
I mean, as they said, it could be happening in town hall too, or.
Right, and
At
I
the police
feel
station
like
on
Tracy
the-
sent out a mass estate thing on the topic at one point this past year, I feel like, so I do think they're aware of it.
It may be helpful in your putting together something too, right? Some verbiage.
Yeah.
There's already done.
The
Especially,
town, I don't think there is, I don't think, yeah.
I mean, draft document, run it through town council.
Yes, and I wanted, so that's something I talked to, Tracy has agreed to take all of our policies and run them by legal counsel.
Okay.
So once we kind of get this work behind
Okay.
us and we're going at
If
a
we get this thing
slower
better,
pace.
and then just see what's happening professionally across
Right.
the
Because,
Commonwealth.
yeah, because it's used as a public building, it's a town building, it's not our building as trustees, it's
Right,
not the
right,
staff
right.
building, it's a
Right.
town building.
Right.
So the policy has to be acceptable
Yep.
and general to the whole town.
Yeah, 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 I mean,
Yeah.
and that's where I think the vetting of the town council.
It's a little bit, yeah, there's a little bit of a difference here in that patrons who might be on computers, and somebody's trying to film what they are working on, or where they might have, they might be checking their bank statement, you know, like, so there's,
I find that hard to believe that that's legal for them to do.
right, and this is where we need our policy
Yeah,
to be
so-
tightened up.
Right.
So that we know the rules and we can clearly
Well, you
let
can
people,
enforce
other
them.
people
It's
know what the
enforceable,
rules are.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And they could be posted,
and they do need to be posted.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So somebody coming
that's
in
another
knows,
thing,
you
yeah.
know, what the policies are of the facility, so. Okay, and then again, I think if this stuff gets vetted through town council as we
Yeah.
go forward, you know.
Right, and we have a backlog of policies that I'd like them to
No,
kind
no, I
of,
think that applies to all of them, if somebody would question anything with it.
right. So, but then you get into a question, to your point, on making things accessible to the public as far as our policies go and readable.
Mhm.
So what's legal and makes sense to a legal department isn't always what makes sense to the average person trying to understand policy.
Okay, so if we need to defend our position, we need to have that legal opinion.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
all right.
So,
Gee, that's fun.
I just flabbergasted.
All right, well,
Yeah.
welcome to the world of
Yeah.
2023.
Just wants to explode sometimes. Okay.
I have no update on the union. I do have an update on our trainings, which I'm really excited about for staff. So next week, and I just confirmed with Sergeant Jenkins, we'll be doing our safety and CPR training.
Good.
On Tuesday, the library is closed until 12, and we've been kind of letting everybody know that Dorothy has social media and newsletters, and we have flyers ready to go
Yep.
and whatnot. Because we really can't, we'll be moving throughout the library, it's not the type of training that you can do.
Right. So doing CPR as well.
Yep. It's not a certification,
Oh, okay.
but it is the training.
Do we have an AED here?
No,
No.
I think Tracy said, kind of everywhere, including like on Island at the public restrooms and like.
I can't hear you.
I think, I just can't remember, what's it called? It's not a defibrillator.
Yeah.
The paddles?
Yeah, the automatic AED.
Yeah,
It is.
there's something gonna happen townwide. I can't remember what it
They were
is.
gonna
There is
Long ago.
equipment on a building right as you turn the corner at the beach on Long Island. It's
So
been there
I
and
thought
now.
equipment was gonna be coming to the library.
Okay, so the
Well,
town was going to do
Right.
something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense. And again, the trend in CPR and that's, yeah.
And then Melissa Mann will be here once in September, once in October, to do 2 trainings, one on boundaries, and that's boundaries for staff setting boundaries with patrons, but it's also understanding not to challenge a patron's boundaries either. So, but in the way that an example of that is if somebody fell asleep in a chair and we were closing and, a staff person went to pick up their bag or something and say, hey, we've got to go. Like, that's not okay. Because that would be, that's the patron's boundary that we have to respect. So one training will be on those kinds of things and how to set limits and things like that. And then the other one will be on gray areas. Gray areas are going to be things, and it'll be good to have our policy in place. Gray areas are the areas that can't be exactly covered in our code of conduct policy, where somebody isn't necessarily breaking a rule, but there's still a problem. So, for instance, if somebody's making other people feel really uncomfortable, but they can't put their finger on it, or, like gray areas of behavior.
I assume, for example, we don't have cleanliness, personal cleanliness.
Right.
But you could imagine that somebody in a public space
If you
who hadn't had a
say
shower in a
say-
month and was filthy,
Yeah,
causing a problem would have to be dealt with. It sounds like a gray area.
definitely. In fact, that's one that she talked about in one of the workshops, and, some libraries will have things in their policy, like, you may not, give yourself a spongy bath in the public restroom, or things like that, but at the same time, well, why not? If somebody's in there, and they close the door, and they clean up after themselves, why wouldn't you want them to help themselves get cleaner, to be so, like, she really focuses on what can we do to help people stay in the library.
Yeah, well, there would be a difference if you had a larger bathroom for multiple users simultaneously.
Right, it would. Right.
No,
It would.
as opposed to single-use bathrooms, which is what we
Single
were.
use, you can go out the door.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah,
You
so.
shut the cameras off then.
And I think if somebody was
Yeah.
agitated, like pacing around
Yeah.
and watching everybody else, I've seen that in here,
Yes.
and that can make you quite.
And what are the steps, right? Like, how do you de-escalate something? And it's not always, oh, call the police. Sometimes that's going to escalate it.
Yeah,
And sometimes
absolutely.
you're going to have to wait 10 minutes for the police to get here anyway. What do you do in the meantime?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of gray areas, but she has said that, and I told staff this morning at our staff meeting, we can come up with specific scenarios that we'd like her to advise us on,
Sure.
particular to this library, which is awesome. And she'll work it into her whole training for us. So we'll be in here, it's going to be virtual, she's California time, which has thrown me for a curveball I did not expect.
Is there any public building in Newbury where there is bathing available? I'm just wondering about that now. I don't
I
know.
can't imagine.
Something by the
Yes.
beach.
Right.
The only place I could think of would be in the fire station or the police station.
But that's for them though.
Okay, yeah.
It's not open to, that part of it isn't open
Yeah.
to the public.
I mean, that Byfield is not a public facility, that is a private company.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's got a whole different way of approaching
Mhm.
problems in the library.
Okay.
And she comes from a place of, how do we make this work? And what's the real problem? It's not being rule oriented. What's, okay, somebody's breaking this rule, but what's the problem behind it? Why is this a rule?
Mhm.
And where can we be more
Okay.
lenient and where do we need to be?
Is she doing role playing and all that other kind of stuff, or is it because she's a?
It's an hour and a half to 2 hours
Yeah,
virtual.
probably not then.
Can we come?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we probably should.
Something we heard in something.
yeah,
I would, yeah, because role playing, that really puts you in the situation,
right,
and you have to react, or listening to somebody else telling you what you should do.
right.
Yeah.
I
Like
learned
if
better by
somebody comes
doing it.
into your office and is angry and yelling and throws something on your desk,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to see what I do. I'd be like, not on my desk.
You know, if somebody really just starts yelling or, you know, and these things happen.
Yeah.
But there are really practical things a
Right.
person can do if you have it already in the back of your mind, right? You're not taken totally by surprise.
Well, yeah, if you've been through conflict resolution and things like that,
Yeah.
they train you.
Right,
Mhm.
And they, you know, a bigger program, our business program, they had role playing all the time.
right.
So, you know, just because it's one thing to tell somebody this is what you need to do, it's another thing to actually do it. And then you
Right.
remember,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
you know, but
Yeah.
that's, you know, we're getting a good head start on even attacking the issue.
Yeah, and I think you guys will like her a lot.
And when did you say? She's coming?
We were just hammering out the details, so I think it's
Okay.
September, let's see, they're both Thursdays.
Okay.
September 14th,
Uh-huh.
12 o'clock, and October, October 12th at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And would you envision this as kind of a, not necessarily an ongoing educational thing, but something that happens periodically, quarterly,
Yeah,
something like that, as they become more and more familiar with this, you know, I was thinking this would be kind of a continuing process. And
definitely,
the more
because
you
you
hear it, the
need
more
to,
you practice it through role playing,
right, you get more comfortable
you
with it.
get more comfortable with it,
Yeah,
and, you know, you may have real scenarios now that you probably already have them, but, you
Yeah.
know, that you can bring to the table and
Well,
talk about.
Right.
One of the scenarios which we have never had to implement here, we saw recently in Vermont, is what happens during extreme weather.
Yeah.
The library can become a cooling station, it can house people,
Right.
you're sleeping on the floor, and, you know, we have to really think
And with
about
the
that.
generator project
Yeah,
coming, that opens us up to really be able to
Yeah,
help.
but we have to think about that well in
Yes.
advance.
Yeah,
Right.
and how much of the library?
Unfortunately.
Is it the whole library, is it the meeting room?
Well,
Is it-
Yeah.
So is it more, is it just like personal contact with people, or is it something, what if someone sent you a threatening email?
Right,
Mm.
Is that going to be included too?
right.
Okay.
Anything we want, basically,
Okay,
anything we
great.
want. That's
This is
happened
not
in
just-
several local libraries have
Right.
received,
Right.
more than, but some library directors have been harassed at home.
Right.
You know, it's,
Okay.
times have changed so significantly for being a librarian.
And it's a scary world too. People are walking into
Right.
buildings, shooting people up.
Right.
Sure.
You know, you want your patrons, especially if there's kids around, you don't want them to see that stuff.
Right.
Or experience that stuff, I should say. So, oh, that's great. It sounds like it's good. And it's nice that it sounds like it's going to be ongoing a bit too.
Right.
Right, so we'll have those two and see how staff feels, like
Yeah, see how it
where
feels,
do you
and-
want to like dig
Yeah.
in further into one of those subjects, or are there other subjects? And
Get the feedback from the staff and see how they react to this and,
Right,
you know.
yeah.
Right.
And,
That's something I think if you can show them that this is something that you're offering as an ongoing process.
Right,
it's,
right.
you know, reinforces a positive feeling with them.
yeah. So for FY '20, also with staff, FY '24 reviews and goals, I brought up this morning, hopefully in as non-scary a way as possible, that I wanted to have something, it's not a review, I want to meet with each staff person and kind of go over, what do you think worked about FY '23? What do you think maybe didn't? What changes might you want to make FY '24? What are your goals for FY '24? Library? It's not something that the town has happened. I'm not going to ever get a review. I'm probably not ever going to get a meeting.
But it's nice that they can work on personal work goals too.
But
Yes.
They probably never thought about it.
find it interesting. I like that, and I wish I was going to get to have one, to have the chance to like talk about what's happened and where are you going and what are your thoughts.
Yeah, we-
Okay, we'll schedule that.
Well, let me ask you, we just renewed your contract, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Or so we're in the process. Would you like to have a review?
I'd love to talk about, yeah, not, so I
So
would
we
like
can
to
call
know
it
a
whatever-
scary review as well.
No. It would be us that do it.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
the reality is, one of our only functions is hiring you,
Right,
okay? And,
Yeah,
you know, everybody else you hire everybody else.
right,
They report to you.
right.
So you're doing that, and I think,
And it
Yes,
doesn't
no.
have to be
Also-
recorded.
yeah, years
It
ago,
doesn't
there used to
need,
have
like-
there used to be
If it's more than two of you,
a review sheet.
I
well,
think it might.
we always had like 360 reviews, so you're reviewing your boss, what can I do better for you?
Right.
You're reviewing people that work for you as
Right.
well, so it's everybody's
Yeah.
input, so,
Yeah.
because it shouldn't be a one-sided thing, like,
Right.
okay,
Exactly.
you know, I don't like the shoes you're wearing.
Right,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, it's definitely for growth,
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
what it's for, yeah.
We used to, in times past, there was, when Nancy was on board, she was an HR person,
That's
and
right.
we had a formal review document that we review on an annual basis for the director.
Yeah,
Yeah, I worked in HR,
yeah.
Okay, so you're
yeah,
familiar with that process. And
yeah.
it was easy.
They change all the time.
Yeah.
But
And
I
it was good that
do,
we had somebody at that time, we have
Yeah.
somebody now, who put the document together, and the rest of us just, you know, put down what our comments were, and then we shared them with the director, and got their input. And they could counter whatever we were saying, not counter, but augment it and expand on it or whatever.
well, yeah, if the focus is growth,
Yeah, absolutely,
that's
absolutely.
very good.
It seems to me, I'm not an expert in this, that this could be executive session unfilmed, since it pertains to hiring.
Right, and I don't think it's, you know,
I did
I
print
don't
out the
think it's really-
executive session document, only because we had the discussion on the agenda, and I guess we could,
It'd be hard to have a review that was,
We wouldn't
well,
want to do
first
it
of all,
Yeah.
that's,
oh, yeah, no, that's,
that's not something that
That
would be public.
for all of us.
Yeah, that's not a public
No.
forum.
okay, good.
No, absolutely
No.
not, that's,
but we'll take a look at it.
Well, yeah,
We have-
it's nobody else's business, and it's for growth.
No, that's,
Right.
and again, it talks to us for, you know, making contractual decisions. So there are 10
Okay.
things that I want to check. We'll do that. Maybe not tonight.
No.
Good, I can get home by 6:30.
No, I was thinking we could do it in advance of our next meeting, for example.
Sure.
You know, the first hour. executive session, and just flow into our regular
Yeah, and I think
presentation.
what we do is we put that, you put the agenda together, but it is a public session, and you open it as, I think you have to open it as a public session,
Mhm.
and then vote to go into executive session, and what the purpose
Okay.
of the executive session is.
Okay.
And indicate that we will not adjourn from the executive session, we will come out of executive session and continue the meeting, and that would be the balance of the public agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
And we'll be, that time to talk.
Yep.
Okay.
And we do want to be home by 7:30 tonight, because Plum Island is going to be on Chronicle.
Oh!
Oh, well, we'll be home before.
Oh, no, it being in Maine, I can't see Chronicle anymore. It's such a
Really?
No.
Online,
And they
maybe.
go to Maine all the time.
But I bet you could watch it.
Oh, I'll have to look. I'll have to look. That's one of my favorite
I think
shows.
it's mostly about the lighthouse, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, still, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
All right, so you will get on. Chronicles, I'm gonna get on. Yes, not even a sporting event.
All right. On the local history room project, Katie is having a wonderful time in there. She just gave an update at the staff meeting, and they're finding all kinds of great things. I attached the newspaper clipping from 1894.
I wanted to be able to read it. It's so
I want everything.
I do.
Well, join the History Roundtable,
There
you're
you
going to be
go.
able to see it in person. Found a Civil War songbook.
Songbook?
Yep,
Oh, wow.
I know, some really, really cool finds. Just,
That's,
kind of buried in all of the minutia that's in there. So,
And this is getting cataloged somehow?
not just cataloged, but, preserved as
Preserved
well.
as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
We've so far, I think, I've spent about close to $2,000 on materials for preserving
Okay.
things.
Alright.
From Gaylord that does specialty preserving materials like this, as well as universal products. So they are really kind of going to town, and they're going through every single weird item, every scrap of paper, and just, and the fact that she is loving this so much,
That's great.
even better.
Yeah.
Is it something you think a little showcase there? You do like things like candy?
Yeah. So as
Yeah.
part of the History Roundtable, that program, she'll be able to bring some into each month's meeting, but also we'll figure out how to display or have them more accessible in the local history room. And so they're not just buried at the bottom of the file
Right.
cabinet that nobody knows is there.
Because who's going to come in
Right.
really looking for it?
A lot of the stuff isn't
Been there,
anything you
been
think,
there,
oh, I'm gonna go look for Civil War songbook.
Lest we forget, remember that wall hanging that Alex found for us, donated to the library, that was going to cost $15,000 to protect.
Yes.
So well, sometimes this is well beyond our financial ability.
Yes.
oh, yeah,
You know,
yeah. You're going to have to protect it.
And then the other part of it is that once we identify something like that, then we start looking for resources.
Right.
For grants or whatever.
Right.
EBSCO, I know they do solar, but they must do other stuff for language too.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. But
I'm
where
not
we
even-
have
yeah.
we have so many kind of historical organizations.
Yeah.
Here, I can see certain things make sense for the library, maybe certain other things that make sense for the museums, or, I think
Right.
that there's,
Exactly.
Okay. All right. so we
part
make
of this whole process in the local history room is really taking stock of all of the libraries, part of all of these
Right.
organizations that have bits and pieces of our history.
Yep.
And then if we can, serve as like a central point for people to go and figure out, okay, they have this, they have this, they have
Yeah,
that.
that was the point of the website. Through that, you had this entry into the various entities that had control of historical documents. You could in fact access them from this single point of entry.
Right.
You know, the historical commission didn't appear to have a whole lot of stuff, but most of it is at town hall.
Right.
You know, with the town
Except
clerk.
what's here, but yeah.
Except the stuff that's
Right.
So between the three entities that are involved, I haven't seen the document, so I'm just repeating what was said.
Yeah, yeah, so it's exciting, and it's looking like it's gonna wrap up probably by November.
Okay.
And then our history roundtable is kicking off in September, on September 9th, which is a Saturday, which hopefully will open that up to more people. And then we'll see how it goes from there.
Okay.
Excellent.
So we'll start promoting that in the next couple weeks.
It reminds me, when I was teaching a class in the occupational therapy department, the Boston School of Occupational Therapy got incorporated into TUS. And it was one of the first schools that was formed at the time of World War I to send these women over to Europe to help improve the morale and blah, blah, blah. And all these original things were in the ladies' bathroom,
Oh,
in the
my
back
goodness.
closet. Yeah, it was, I mean, I wouldn't get a published article about it, but the actual objects of this stuff,
That's where they were.
that's where they
Oh
were.
my goodness.
They are no longer.
I would think so.
I would hope.
All right.
And there were several meetings scheduled with several members, and people who were involved in history and the library who had concerns about the shift. I assume they went well.
I had one email back and forth, and one person about in person, and I thought they went well. I think that there may have been a misunderstanding, like we were getting rid of genealogy club instead of expanding on it. And expanding what we're offering as far as not just genealogy, but local history and all kinds of learning in that area. So I think that's what we got across.
Yeah,
I think so.
well, I think Terry and I met with one individual who was concerned with the change and tried to show that there was an integration of the two. There was a way for them both to coexist and actually one supporting each other, basically. You can grow out of, if you're involved in local history, it may generate an interest in your personal genealogy, then you can branch off into that with the club and work with them to expand that. We encourage their participation based on their knowledge base. I mean, they have a lot to share. They have a lot of information. This could be a mechanism to share it with a much larger audience on an ongoing basis.
It could, if they keep going, nobody came to genealogy club this month.
Right. And, you know, and I think the change may, you know,
Well,
initially.
it is summer too.
Yeah.
Right,
sure.
so, you know,
Yeah, and it may cause a little, you know, a hiatus, but I think if packaged properly, and I think from what you've said, Katie's excitement and interest in this, I think that would translate into, you know, people getting involved.
I'm so excited
I
for
think it's
this.
something to build on.
I think it's going to be really well received by the community at large.
I mean, because whenever we held those sessions on Newbury, the town that I remember,
Yep.
we would always fill this room. I mean, it was an opportunity for people to come and share their memories of growing up here.
Right.
And, you know, so it's, maybe we want to do that again at some point.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
yeah. We had one planned and then had
Yeah.
to cancel it because of COVID, so.
I know it. I know, and not to, I'll jump forward a little bit in my report, but this year, maybe we can bring that back, just like the Friends are going to be able to bring back the soup contest at Harvest Fest this year, which is
that's
super
fun.
exciting.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that.
So finally, because last year was still like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure if it was the right time, yeah, but I think it's time we can bring it back, so that's exciting.
Yeah. I'll miss it, so.
Oh, right,
No,
it's Halloween weekend. October 28th,
yeah,
still said.
I'll be away.
All right.
When are we gonna have a cookie contest?
We were talking about that this morning in our staff meeting. Funny
Just,
enough.
I mean, I know soup is healthy, but there are
Um,
other things.
Well, we were talking about,
Especially cookies.
one of the things we're gonna bring to the friends is what do they think about having a, like, using all of the cake pans, and we have decorative cookie cutter things as well, and selling what we have, right, what is made, but also as a demonstration of these things that the library has that people can check out. Maybe doing something like that right at holidays or something.
Library of things.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to see somebody use a sewing machine.
Yeah, I know, right? I know it.
Well, I will say that promoted the pickleball stuff that we have. I went to, I tried pickleball, and I had told, I think he's a liaison now, one of my neighbors is a liaison of pickleball and rec. So I said, you know, we've got several sets over here, people can check them out, you know, and snowshoes, and, you know, so I think that's great if we
Yeah.
promote that stuff. Because people are always like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, try it out before you buy it, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
See if you really like it. Yeah, yeah.
So,
All right, library building and grounds, not to open up a. So I got the water bill for 3 months, April to June, and it was over $1,000.
you know what's interesting? Wasn't there, oh, maybe June, when did the mandatory, watering, every other day start?
I don't-
Was that after June?
I don't know, is that even in effect?
Yeah,
Is it?
there's a big sign.
But it's been
Oh,
so
okay, I
rainy.
haven't seen it.
It's-
Yeah, I know, but
Oh,
still,
wow.
I'm like wondering why. Are they infringing on this when everybody else can? I don't know.
Oh.
It's a good question.
I'm rebel rusty.
Yeah.
I was like, but
When there was so much rain,
I
why would
they
there be
shouldn't
such a
be-
big bill?
Yeah, that's why I'm
I
a little
know,
confused.
so, and where we still have we have a long list of things that need doing, like the staff ovens still have,
It was pretty dry leading up to June.
Yeah.
Was it?
It was.
But
I
still.
remember worrying about our garden and
Hmm.
the plantings, and then all of a sudden, it hasn't stopped raining, including tonight.
The sense I got from James, though, when we had this discussion, is that,
Yeah.
even if it was more than what we thought, anything that
Right.
was part of what we needed to have done would, in fact, this would not negatively impact.
But $1,000 worth?
Well, except that we
Well,
were
that's
supposed
big,
to.
yeah.
Some of it, I mean, I think you said, how much is it normally?
460
That's what we
For-
would
for
normally pay.
12 months.
For a year.
For 12 months.
for a year.
For the year.
Right, and this is what,
Oh,
the
this
second
was just
quarter?
3 months?
Yeah, the second quarter.
And where we
Now, do
haven't
we-
been able to get, I think it's 4 or 5 years now, the staff wall oven microwave thing, it's been
Yeah, no,
broken for
I
that
think
long.
one,
Like,
it comes down to us being persistent in terms of dealing with James. I mean, I think I felt confident that his explanation that if it took money out of that
Right.
account, that it would be augmented with something else. They would not do something for us because they had paid for the water.
Well, the thing is just letting James know.
Well, I mean,
I'm
that's
sure
the point.
he's very
That is the
good
point.
at doing.
That is
all
the
of
point, and I think that's the conversation we had.
right.
Where
We
does the-
will talk.
Where does the water come from for this part of Newbury? Because it comes from Newbury
Byfield.
or on Byfield.
No, for you it's Newburyport, for here it's Byfield.
It's big water.
It's out of the Byfield Water District.
Okay.
And the wells are on Lock and Road.
Yeah.
So that's all we need to do, is just
Yeah,
let
so
so
James
we
I
need
know.
just
to-
mentioned it because it was significantly higher than
I think
I ever imagined.
no, absolutely, and I think once I get the generated document in a draft form, we can sit down with him and have a conversation about that, as well as this, and the microwave,
Right, and, well,
and the oven.
what I'm thinking is maybe we put some deadlines around some of these projects and say, oh, okay, can we agree that by this date, and it doesn't keep getting kicked down the road. Yeah, it's worth a try.
No, I think
And ask, ask him what he thinks is reasonable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that's the way you get projects done.
Absolutely,
You know.
because he's
Set a
being told
timetable.
he's,
In a million different
yeah,
ways,
He seems like he's very easy to work with.
He's
He is.
awesome.
Oh, he is,
Yeah.
he's terrific.
Yeah.
He's a real good guy, and he's.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
everybody says, so I don't think it'll be an issue with
He's
him.
accommodating, so he'll work with us.
Yeah.
I think the onus then is on us to.
I think so too.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll set something up.
Of our earlier discussion about what activities people are doing in the library, how many people are taking showers in this water bill?
0.
Yeah, that's kind of her point. We haven't changed our use of water.
Water use
No.
does not
You
change.
know, it's,
No, it may have gotten somewhat more expensive.
Right.
I know, Catherine may be living
At this
here,
point.
but
Yeah.
can't find a place.
Yeah.
There's a cot, but yeah, no, it's, you know,
No, our use has not changed.
yeah.
Our use hasn't changed. It's direct. And I think, did they reseed that this year? Or was that last year? I don't know.
I kind of think they did.
I think it was
So it
true.
was probably excess watering because of reseeding. I don't know that. I'm
What's
just
receding?
trying to speculate.
What do you, oh, receding, okay.
Receding.
I'm like, it's receding?
I know, it's going.
Okay, I got it. But that's usually, oh, they did it during the year, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's usually fall, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so I am meeting tomorrow with Compass Facility Cleaning Company, who cleans for a couple of other local libraries. And I sent a thing out to all the directors saying, hey, any of you libraries have a cleaner that you love that you want to share with me? And a couple came in on these people, so I'm meeting them tomorrow to see if they can do some of the kind of more deep cleaning that we need.
Mhm.
You're working on the generator project,
Yep.
among others.
Yeah,
And
that's-
then I have a long list of the no updates.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Instead of actual cleaning on top of the highway department emptying trash, what ended up with the trash, what do you call that?
Dumpster?
Dumpster, thank you. We didn't go for extra, correct? Remember they said it's getting full, maybe we should?
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Okay,
All
right.
I don't think I've received an update. Doesn't mean there wasn't a decision on that, but I can look into that.
yeah, because it really, we should keep it the way it was.
Right.
You know, and the Little League wasn't putting, it was just people are putting stuff
Oh,
in the
absolutely.
dumpster.
Right. I
You
think
know.
because we couldn't re-lock the dumpster until Little League was over because
okay.
it was
Maybe
too
we
hard
can
for
put
people to
one.
throw out trash that way, but I think now that it's done, we'll be able to.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
never, in the past, they never increased
Yeah.
by the amount of trash they had. That didn't increase. It's just, like I said, people have been seen dumping things. in the
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
put that lock on. Let me get the trash in there first.
First, yeah, right. We'll get you a key.
Yeah, there you go. Tell me the combination. I'm going to remember it anyway.
All right, and I have these things that I have no update on. I'm keeping them here because I'm afraid if I don't keep them here,
Right.
they'll just go by the wayside.
I have an update.
Okay. Ooh.
Minor. I just spent a little bit of time today on the EBSCO website looking at their
Mhm.
qualifications and schedule. They accept, assuming that next year is identical to the year we just passed, they accept the applications in January, and then they decide by April.
Okay.
They look favorably on something like we would want, which is a full replacement roof, because there's a good lifespan.
Mhm.
That's why we never applied previously, because we had no aging roof, it didn't make sense. They look favorably on places that have already begun or have some established green policies, attributes, things in place. And we're getting solar computer table, we're getting a charging station. We may think about a little bit more than that. And they look favorably on communities where the library plans some kind of community involvement, education, etc. So it's all reasonable, but it's not nothing. Right. It needs to be part of it. And the three they gave three in a total of several $100,000. I forget exactly how much. One was in Indianapolis, one was the last few years that I've looked at, one always ends up in a college campus.
Makes sense.
None of them were local to here. So I have no way of knowing as to whether our being neighbors of EBSCO and Ipswich is meaningful or not to them. It could even work against us conceivably. So that's how it happens. I do know that the one other year when I first began looking at this years ago was a library that had a whole kind of green curriculum. And the roof that they were installing was just another part of that. So this is something that we need to develop.
So with the roof, they're talking about us replacing it before they would invest in solar.
No. I think they would.
They would
it
consider
would be
replacing
for,
the roof?
Yes, but we would have to. I mean, the deadline. I don't know when we need to replace the roof by, because it's going to take some months to go through their system.
Sure.
And with the possibility of not receiving, so we have to consider it under the
So the roof
circumstances.
is 22, 23 years old.
I think James said next year.
Next year is, and we're not having any problems with it. But my recollection, it was either a 20 or 30-year system that we put on it. But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's just subject to
That would
weather.
be-
Well, I remember talking with Gene some years ago about creating kind of, using the 25th anniversary of the library to inaugurate or pay attention to something that's already been set up around the ecology and so forth. And then COVID happened, and everything got thrown awry for years and years. So it's something to start thinking about now.
Absolutely.
If we want to be ready about it.
Yeah, we talk, this is not only the roof, but we also have to consider the fact that the building systems are approaching 25 years, and useful life for a lot of these systems. Always already talking about the condenser that's outside of your office is in need of replacement. So then the question then is, how do we go about replacing that? Do we look at feasibility of geothermal? I thought the state was mandating that by 2030, that was going to be the way that everybody had to go with heat pumps versus natural gas or oil furnaces. So there's been a lot of publicity.
By 2030.
By 2030. Yeah.
That's right, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So there's, I don't know if anybody's beating the drum on this. This is, I heard this when I was still working, so.
Geothermal, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start renting. Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, it's a great, we went to, years ago, we went to Iceland and everything was geothermal.
Geothermal, yeah,
Which is
absolutely.
way back there, my daughter's 12,
Well,
so it's.
not sure if community college, the campus in Danvers, the building we built 10, 15 years ago, was supposed to be zero net energy. We had 50 geothermal wells there. And you augment it with gas in case your system,
Right.
you're not generating enough. But our solar was sufficient for the whole building, and we had enough, we got credit for the building next to it. So there's ways to do it. We can put canopies out in the parking lot, cover parking spaces, generate electricity that way. So I think if we start looking at what resources are out there for us to access in order to do the necessary engineering and studies of, geothermal may not even be feasible.
Right.
I don't know that.
Is there somebody in town government that's involved
Yeah, I think
in shepherding the green initiatives?
Yeah, Martha has been involved with the green communities process. I think we're still missing a couple of pieces, and that opens up all kinds of funding opportunities from the state if we're ever eligible for it. So, something to consider going down the line, especially with systems that are hitting 25 years. They may not need to be replaced, but within the next 5 years or so, you know you're going to have to replace them. So, okay.
Well, and if we don't get a solar roof, we get a regular roof with solar panels.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely.
So it's not, the
Absolutely.
goal is to get
Dick,
this
I think it's
brand new,
if
brand
they're
new
willing
roofing
to-
material,
If
so.
they're willing to do this, make the funding available, let's think about, doing whatever we need to do come January, this is to apply.
And pardon me, Martha, who?
Mark Taylor, town planner.
Thanks.
So do we need the next steps on this? I feel like that January deadline's going to be.
Link.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what should we have for the next meeting?
Yeah, can you get whatever the criteria is for application? Then it's out on the website.
I'd be interested in working on that too, since we have solar panels on our house.
Oh, okay,
We've had them for 10 years.
okay.
And we built an outbuilding that we use for storage with the roof and the position of it exactly right for the best collection.
We investigated it for our house, but we'd have to cut down a 150-year-old catalpa tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, you're not gonna do that.
Kind
Yeah.
of opposite of what you want.
Well, we just couldn't, we love
Yeah.
that tree, so unfortunately,
Yeah.
to shade our.
No, I think, just evaluating and assessing, putting things in place like motion activated sensors when you walk into a room, the lights go on.
Yeah.
And when you leave, the lights go off. So you don't have to worry about flipping switches. And, especially with that, these wonderful skylights, we bring in a lot of natural light, but we still have lights on. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
All right, on to the Friends.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oops, sorry.
I just, a quick question,
Yes.
because I'm not familiar with electric cars. We're putting in 2 electric car changing stations in the summer and fall. Still on target for that?
We haven't talked to James since that meeting that we had, where he told us he was planning to do that. And that's something the town is doing.
So how, do you stick in a credit card?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's not like we're gonna be paying for
Oh.
electric.
No, no,
I'm like, oh my
that
gosh.
was-
It's
No,
okay.
yeah.
I just have never used
I
it,
never have either.
I'm afraid of it.
It's-
dying on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is done by credit card, and I think we talked about this maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and we really didn't pursue it because we didn't want to become responsible for
Right.
that, and the town really didn't seem to be all that enthusiastic about it. I guess there's been a change of heart in that period of time where they're willing to manage that. So if anybody that has an electric vehicle, they can pull in here, stick
Oh,
their
yeah.
credit card in and charge it.
And they're gonna be maintaining it and all of that?
Yeah, it'll be,
Okay.
it'll be done in joint with the National Grid, I believe. I
Okay,
think it may be, at least it was at the time we talked about it, there was funding available through National Grid to make it happen, so.
yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have to
No,
maintain
we're
it
not-
or
no,
anything
no.
that.
we're not-
I was in a meeting with Gene and National Grid people,
Yeah,
Yes,
and they
Yes.
do a lot because obviously they sell
Yeah.
electricity, they like that.
right.
So they have grants, they have all kinds of
Right.
Oh, wonderful.
things. And I know there's a service contract, so it's all part of
Yeah.
the deal.
So I think James has been working with Fred Jarry,
Yes,
our IT,
HVAC.
HVAC guy. He's kind of like an engineer involved with this, with James in National Grid. We haven't had any interaction with him, but we may want to.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna add to our
No,
responsibilities.
Did you?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Not even in.
No, we only,
Good
as
question.
soon as we lose two parking spaces.
Yeah.
It'll probably be felt more by little leaguers.
I was gonna say, the other people who need the extra 2 are the little leaguers, and
Right.
they just park along the street, so, which is fine, because it slows down people coming through.
Right.
So it's, Pretty good.
Yeah, that does
So
kind of give
maybe
another.
they can put a parking lot on the land they own on Kent Street on the other side of the Woodland Field. Because when we bought Mansfield, Central Street Field, we also bought the land
Right,
on Kent Way
right.
for potential recreation use. So maybe we should talk to the recreation committee and start thinking about how to expand their recreational activities and increase their parking on that side.
And who gets the money from it? I mean, you're paying, right? So who gets the?
Not us.
No,
I-
the recreation committee, actually, I think at town meeting, they talk about how their funding, they're gonna be getting it from revenues received for use of facilities.
Okay.
That's how a lot of the stuff that's happening at the fields is taken.
So it goes into their bank.
It goes into their account, yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
I was gonna say, let's make a deal.
Yeah.
That's all right. Thank you.
All right, so Friends, I think I already told you this, but I did get in the budget this year the $2,000 to cover what they were paying for the library's copier and scanner.
Mhm.
So Friends were able to take that $2,000 and cost of programming are through the roof and give 1,000 to children's and 1,000 to adults extra for programming this year, which is going to really help
Yeah.
quite a bit. Let's see. The Friends are going to be meeting towards the end of August to talk about Harvest Fest. They don't usually meet in the summer, but now they are going to do an August meeting because it's been tough to schedule everything with Harvest Fest in October and the first meeting in September, so that's going to be good. Talking about the soup contest, and then just some updated programs and events information. And I did want to mention, I did find the Ralph Papers, #2, that
Oh.
Barbara had been worried about. They were there on the computer,
Okay.
but there are bookmarks on the computer, and the bookmark leading to Papers #2 was missing.
Thank
So we reestablished the bookmark, or Dorothy reestablished the bookmark, and that's all set.
Good.
So just wanted to let you know that. And
Excellent.
that is about it for me.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
So, and I had forgotten to give you all the current policies list, so I attached that here. I think it should be in your packets, just to be keeping a full-on list. And maybe we can use this, I put yes means updating by, I think it's probably yes by almost everything.
Do you want to vote on the emergency closing policy?
Yes. We do. And I have your edits here. I couldn't figure out how to make it print without,
You have to accept that.
I kept trying to accept and stop tracking, and it just wasn't, yeah, so I wound up printing it. Sorry.
I was trying to figure out what the theory was behind it.
Yeah, that was it. It was computer technology issues.
If you get that again, let me know, because I can create that saved document on my computer
Okay, well.
and ship it to you.
Perfect. So basically what we were doing here is realizing that the town's emergency closing policy is really the one that takes precedence. Our old policy on this was in conflict with it, so it's remedying that.
Most of us income the first sentence after health. We're doing the Oxford Congress.
And canceled, we're spelling it the British way with the 2 L's.
Which,
And canceled, we're spelling it the British way. So when it doesn't matter, whatever you want, but I would have been checked off wrong in school.
okay, what the deal? I can do this when I get home and send it.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
In the second to last paragraph, we have the word "C" scratched off, but I think you need it.
You need it, yeah.
Let's say it again.
Second to last paragraph, the word "C" is scratched off, but you need it.
Okay.
We could also add the
Oh, yeah.
website. So typically on the website, that I have a notification bar that I can enact, and it'll go at the top of every page, saying something like, you know, the library building has been closed due to snow or something like that. So we could add that. I don't know if it's necessary in a policy. But they might not get us on the phone if we're closed, so it might sound like we're open.
Can't we just leave a recording?
At this point, we can't. Until, or I guess our phone systems are so archaic, we can't do that remotely.
Okay.
But that was something that IT Matt at Town Hall was in the middle of doing, but he has since left. And they are going to need to hire a new IT person, so I think it's on hold.
Can you never make the decision yourself to close?
Staff can individually decide if it's not safe to come in, and it will come out of their pay. But it'll come out of their pay anyway, so if the town closes us, it still comes out of your pay, regardless. We never do, yeah. So there's no incentive to not come in, except,
Safety.
yeah.
Except to save your life.
Right, so if all of the staff decides not to come in, you can't open.
Right.
I can't find where I cut fee. What,
C, S-E-E.
Oh,
yeah, it's-
to see.
Very
Contact the
low.
library to see.
oh, to see.
Okay.
Yeah. I was looking for fee. wasn't I? Okay. I move that we accept the emergency clothing policy as amended.
Second.
Second, any questions, comments, all in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
So you'll send me around.
Yeah.
Any other policies?
All right, and I don't have the home delivery policy. It's going to require a little more work. I did bring, you had edits to the request for consideration form, which is not a policy. And I brought the diversity and inclusion statement. I didn't know if that was something, probably the diversity and inclusion statement is something that needs voting on. It looks like the request for consideration never has been voted on. That is change.
Do you want us to look at this and vote on it next time?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We haven't done so already. This diversity and inclusion statement is a very lightly edited version of one that existed in another library, and I contacted the library in Santa Clara, California, just to ask them if it was okay.
Oh, nice.
Most of us libraries they're plagiarizing each other.
Yeah, but I'd like to-
Share.
Funny enough.
I just thought it was something to ask permission, because why not? Not
Yeah.
that they would ever know. but I would-
No, but it's nice that you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure it makes them feel good that they did a nice
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
so,
All right, great.
well done.
There's them. I have a copy of the water bill, but I don't know how much to make a copy of the water bill, just,
That's you.
Very nice. We'll set something.
okay, awesome. All right.
Nice meeting you.
I'll work on that generator specification. Actually, I gotta come by tomorrow and show them how to scan some of that stuff in,
Oh,
so
right.
that I don't have to.
I have a meeting with the cleaner at 1:30.
Okay.
Just so you know.
All right.
Uh,
So we need to schedule our next meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I am on vacation the last week of August, so,
Well, we do the 3rd anyway, right? The 3rd Wednesday or 3rd Tuesday,
oh, this is the last.
so it would be the 15th.
I'm not here that day, but it's fine.
I'm fine.
Where is it?
The 15th.
It doesn't have to be a Tuesday, it can be a, well, we can do Wednesday, or maybe a Thursday, either one.
I'm away from the 16th to the 20th, so.
Well, why don't we
And then
just do
I'm
the
away.
Keep the
15th?
15th, and I'll
Yeah.
just read the notes.
Oh, no, actually, I could do the 22nd.
I'll be gone.
Well, are we doing the 3rd of each month, the 3rd Tuesday of each month, or are we doing the 4th?
I think
Doesn't
for
matter.
August, we're just trying to find an open.
Okay.
One where we're all around.
Summertimes are a little.
Saturday,
loosey
yeah.
goosey, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so do you want the 22nd or the 15th?
Who's not free the 20th?
I'm not, I'm in California. Sorry, the
So
21st.
there's 4 of us, I think.
Do the 15th?
Yeah.
But you're not here the 15th?
No, I'm not.
You're not.
Yeah, but
I'm away the 16th, yeah.
Since I'm the secretary, it's better to have it when I'm here. than-
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to
Or
say.
somebody else, somebody else can
Yeah.
Who wants to be the secretary?
somebody else can ably step in.
Yeah.
So August 15th at 4?
Okay.
Okay.
This is one last item, is the director's contract, and if the director wants to stay, I have no problem. Do you want to do this?
But we're not going to tell
Executive
us,
session.
right? So it's executive.
You want to
Okay.
go into executive session to do that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to go into executive session to discuss contractual agreement with the director.
Okay.
And we will adjourn from executive session. We will not come back into public session.
Correct.
Okay? And the results of the discussion will be made public. I forget what the requirement is, I don't know if it's 2 months or 3 months after, or a month, whatever. But it will be ultimately made public minutes.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
And so move.
Second. Motion made second, all in favor?